Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is SCC and today we're looking at the round 6 review, I believe. Yeah, round 6, that it is. And yeah, it was an all right week. We went up ranks again. That's all we're aiming for at the moment. We've got a long way to climb considering we started so far back. But yeah, things went pretty well for the team this week, 1947. So I think that was probably about just a little bit over average. From what I could see in some other scores I saw. So pretty happy with that. We're starting to more consistently climb. I guess there's a few things we can, that could have been better, but yeah, we're just going to keep moving into it, making some more moves this week, and there will be one. And yeah, I think the team value is looking good. And I think a few things happened this week, which were pretty interesting considering some of the videos put up last week. It'd be interesting to see what happens from here. So I think this is where we're going to see a lot of teams go and be a bit different, because I think there's quite a few options as to where you could kind of move off from here, what you do with rookies. Probably playing a little bit. I think my plan is to be a little bit conservative with some of these better scoring rookies, even though they're in down patches at the moment. I think I don't need to cash them in right now. And I'll show you what I'm looking at doing now. So into the team, and that wasn't a too long load in at least. So yeah, this is what the team looked like. We stuck with the trades we said we were doing a week, which was Closey, Graham, and Flanders in. So 3 Gold Coast boys for Bonner, Hoare. And who was the last one? Bonner, Hoare. Let me have a look. Bonner, Hoare, and Clark. Oh, yeah, Strike Clark. That's right. So we got off Clark because I was thinking he doesn't look like he's getting a spot. There's players coming back. It's going to be harder. And if anything, he's going to play sub and just lose money. So I thought, let's just cut this one now. That's been a bad rookie. And let's go on to someone who's probably got some scoring potential at least, and it looks like that's worked. I think he lost like 30k this week, Clark. Starting in the back line, so Sheasel, 110, happy with that from a defender. I think he got a little bit of time put into him. It looked like Hawthorn were, had a bit of pressure put into him, but he's still getting the ball fairly well. North were pretty underwhelming as a team, to be honest. So you can't really be mad at Sheasel when he has been carrying them for a lot of the past few weeks. Gov, 100. So yeah, I think it was a bit flattening. It only got to here. I think he played well. Barras, it just fell that Barras got a lot of those marks, the cutout marks, and this is where McGovern's kick-ins help him because they kept him at 100, which was good. Would I have rathered Yo? In hindsight, yes, because he's like 580k now. Looks like he's going to be like a pretty decent D6, if anything. So, yeah, it would be nice to have him. But yeah, at the same time, hopefully Gov can get some scoring back. I've had his 2 worst weeks so far, and it has come with the fact that West Coast have actually played quite well. And I don't think they look like turning it back either. So yeah, hopefully, he starts to get a bit more of the ball, because if he can do that, things should look a bit better. The thing I'm a bit worried about is he's older, so he doesn't really like chase the ball as much. Like he's happy once it's out, like let the younger guys deal with it, and he's more of that take a mark, put in a pressure act if he has to go for a tackle or something, but then after that it's like, okay, boys, clear it. So NAS is becoming an issue, and it's kind of the thing I flagged probably past 2 weeks is like the Bradley Hill / Bonner effect on him. So many people delivering out of there, and Sinclair as well. I'm a bit worried about this now because, if he got like an 80 or 90, this score could have been so much better. And, if there were other players I'd picked / gone into at the start, like this could be better. And now he's losing a bit of money. His break-even shouldn't be too odd. It's getting pretty out of control, 128. So he needs a big score this week against Port Adelaide. He's I'm pretty sure he's a South Australian boy, so maybe go for a big score at Adelaide Oval. Not sure. St Kilda will get a kick out the arse after the last game, so he should get better. Mass, as everyone has seen, got subbed, so that was great. Thanks, Sam. He was looking towards like a an 80 or probably 90, to be fair. Or maybe like an 80. He was on 52, I think, when he got subbed, or 50, and it like scaled up to a 60. So I feel like he could have done an 85, 90 still, which would have been nice. But I guess everyone had him, so it really wasn't of that much consequence. Williams, injury, knocked to ACL. I watched the game and didn't even realize it happened, to be honest. But I did miss the end of the second half, actually, which I think is where it happened. So it's a bit flattening because he had more money to make. Probably have to keep an eye on the injury list, but Williams has always had issues with injuries. I think and I think most people are going to be cutting him this week. So looking at it now, what's 20% of training out, and I think that's probably pretty fair considering we want to get some, it's upgrade season, want to get some players off the field. And close, he's 75, so I didn't get the big 125, but I got the cash boost. And he's still got a negative 75 break even, so he's probably going to go up, another 100k over the next 2 weeks, which is plenty, especially with West Coast. Like, that's a good matchup. And then Brisbane North, like probably at the end of the North game, you can nearly look at flicking him on if his break even's at about parity by that time. Or we could hold, depending on how he's scoring. Bont. So I had the VC on Bont, and if you watch the post games I did for Friday and Thursday games, I was pretty keen on just Thursday and Friday games, I was pretty keen on just keeping Bonts as the VC. Unless like there was some pretty crazy things that happened, like some big scores, but that didn't happen. And I was just pretty happy to just take the 125, especially after getting punished like the week before and watching Bont go like 108 against West Coast after I had a 125 with Sarong. It's just not worth it, especially when she did the maths. Like, if Sheezel went 150, it's an extra 25 points. I just wasn't sure it was worth it. And Sheezel was going to be the choice, and I would have lost 15 points. So, probably was worth not going. Sarong 117, this could have been bigger. He did well considering, like, the rest of Fremantle's high-scoring players got dominated. And, like, went 80s, like, even like Jackson probably got lucky to get a 90 with a late goal. So, pretty happy for Sarong to get 117. And hopefully, maybe with Young out now as well, he might be able to turn some scoring around again. I don't know if Young's out, but he did have some hamstring tightness. But it could turn around. Tom Green seems to be in that slump he always has, where he looks really, really good at the start and then starts to go really, really low. I think it was, they've had a couple of hard games. They got another one coming up against Brisbane. Definitely not trading out. Just got to wait it out here. You're on him, so just keep him going. But a 114 average at this point is probably a bit further below than what we thought he might get to. Dacos. So Dacos looked like he was going for a really bad score, but he really turned it on in the second half. I think he was on like a 40 or a 50, and then he pumped to an 80 or 90 out of nowhere. And now he ended up 133. Can't ask for more. And that's why you keep him. He's just he can just have spurts where he just scores really, really heavily. Nick Martin. I think he played decently against the Crows considering the pressure. But yeah, he does. You watch him and you go, geez, some of these kicks bites off a bit more than he can chew. But still scoring well and a good defender option. Hewitt. Love what he does. He's not the biggest scoring midfielder. He just keeps pumping out hundreds. And for a guy I got for 430, I'm pretty happy with that. Or 440, pretty happy with that. He's on a 104. I think that's because of that first game he had that I got him in. Well, actually, sorry, round 0 he got a 106, then he got a 76. But from there, it's been pretty good. Walsh, it's affected him, but he does the extra stuff, gets the tackles. He actually got like a lot of disposals. He had 30. I think. Let's look at the stats. He had 31 disposals, just like a lot of handballs, which doesn't help him. 2 marks, 1 tackle. If he pumps his tackles up, like he was having 5, 6, 6, 6, 7 tackles. If that's like 5, 6 tackles, it's like a 125. So, I'm pretty happy to hold Hewitt until I'm ready to move him on. What's his break even at? His break even's at 83, so he's like still getting that fairly easily. So for now, we'll just keep him and keep getting some good scores on field, hopefully. Carlton have Geelong. Might be a bit of a contested game, hopefully, so help him with the scoring again. Roberts, what a rookie he's turning out to be. I thought he was a good choice from the start, but the 117 back off of the buy is very nice. So I reckon I'm just gonna hold on to him because like the rookies are a bit stale in parts. McCurch had a rough game. Like his fantasy was probably like 60 something, but his Supercoach was not good. I'm just gonna hold him, wait for the break even to turn around. Because Fyco's kind of flagged that they might send him back and move Sheezel up the field, along with Power as well, actually. So that should be good for both of them. Hopefully Fisher gets dropped and then like McCurcher and Power can play with the halfback flank. That would be like the best option, and Sheezel gets mid-time because I think Sheezel can get the ball anywhere. Obviously it'll hurt him a little bit, but you never know. He could really pull it out from there. Sanders suffering the sub. We've spoken about that already. Wish I played Wilson on field. He looks like he's playing a bit more from the back line a little bit, so nearly an on-field option or a loop if you've got one. I haven't watched any of the Gold Coast, to be honest. So this Graham score, 60, don't really know what he played, but is what it is. He's on the bench making money, so that's all we need. So Gorn had the bye. Meek. The Lloyd, he got pretty dominated in the ruck, to be honest. Sherry was very, very good. And he also had like 9 clearances or something like ridiculous, Sherry. So I would have liked to see a bit more from Meek, but he just got out-muscled. He's got Wits this week as well, who I don't think he's going to move as well as what Sherry did, but he'll be an absolute king in the ruck contest. I feel like Hawthorn aren't going to drop him because they've been winning, or they've been playing 1 competitive football and 2 winning last week. So I feel like he's going to stay there. It's just for how long and whether he can keep scoring. Hopefully he can get some ball around the ground and that will help him. But 2 goals, he kicked 2 goals. One of them was at the end of the game, so it was like an extra 8 or 9 points. One of them pumped him from like 20 to like 40 or 50 in the second quarter. It was a good kick as well. It was and I feel like he missed probably a few of those where like they could have handballed over to him when he was a bit free, because he likes to get it down to his midfielders and then try and push forward head of the ball a little bit, or like hang out a little bit out of the pack and try and get a long handball. And he did that, and he kicked one from like 70 that bounced through. So hopefully he can get a bit more of that. Heaney, so this is what, one of the things we were talking about in the video last week is about these guys who are averaging really well. Historically, it says that, this is going to drop back at some point, and Heaney's game was last week. You're not unhappy with the 98, but like, yeah, we got to cool expectations on players a little bit. And we saw that with other players as well. Ryan, who else was there? There was a few others who, dropped back a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Luke Jackson was one. I think his scoring was bad. There was another one here. Jack Steele as well. So, like, these scores are going to come. So you just got to, like, be aware that you don't want to be chasing points necessarily, although that's probably what I'm going to do this week. But, look at value and look at what else they can do as well. What else you could do with the money. Rankin, so this 85, God, it was looking bad. It was looking like he was on like 30 at 3/4 time, and I was just like, all right, it's going to be positive, and he's going to have like a 50-point last quarter, and he did. Kicked a really good goal, like chasing out of the pack, getting in a snap on his right foot and it bouncing through. I'm pretty sure it was his right foot. I was getting a bit frustrated because, there's all this talk about him wanting to be the best Crow and the best, best player in the AFL. And then sometimes in the midfield, he just seemed to sag off players, not necessarily follow defensively. And if he can get that right, like he can be probably one of the best. Because like if he follows, Parrish and stops that goal early in the second half, stuff like that really helps the team. And he is new to the midfield, playing more of a prominent role in the midfield. So he'll learn that stuff. And I was, it's encouraging that he got up to 85 considering where he was, because he, the last quarter, he just seems to turn it on and really push hard. Like it was in the Carlton game, is in this game. Like he just lifts to another level. So hopefully, North he can show up and have a good game, and we can get a good score on the board. Good thing is, if he'd gone a 120 again, I think a lot of teams would have looked at him because he went an 85. I can keep him as like a bit of a pod because he's like doing well, but not well enough for people to really consider getting in. 5% of teams. No one's looking at him. So I like it as a pod, pod F6 hopefully comes on by the end of the season. Went up 15K this week. He's got a lowish break even coming into North. If people can pay out, over 500 for him, if he does come good, that'd be good. If not, I don't mind having him as that F6. Although I've got Powell as well, who, got punished by the fact that Phillips was back in the team. Watching that game, it's really like annoying because like Clarko should have put Powell in the midfield earlier. He got put more in there in the second half, and that's where they turned around the game and actually started to get a bit of scoring on the board. I just don't really get sometimes, bringing a guy like Phillips in and changing up your midfield, which is kind of been like looking all right. I guess they got smashed by Geelong, but Geelong is pretty hard. And, if this is the midfield you want to back in, why change it like against a team like Hawthorn where, your players could actually dig in and have a go? I just think it's weird. I feel like Power always gets put in a shit position where he doesn't get to play the midfield role that he'd be really good in. And instead he gets pushed to a forward flank. So anyway, that's a bit of food for thought, but yeah, hopefully he can improve that. But I don't know. Clarko's just moving stuff around a lot, so we'll see. Reid, man, this guy's good. Watching him in the state a little bit last year, I watched a little bit, and he just seemed to be like a one-out forward who, was like that, kind of like Dustin Martin will do a couple of big things. But man, has he changed, like moved that wrong? Maybe it was just because like it was not a bit of a nothing game, but he knew in the state games that he didn't have to go all out. But against Fremantle, I thought he might do it as well because like it's the derby and he wants to like show up and really, really prove himself. In the first quarter, he was playing deep forward, hadn't really touched it. I think he was on like 5 or 6 Supercoach. Then he took this huge mark in the square, kicked a goal, pumped him up to like 30 or 40. And then from there, they just like, all right, he's on, and then just put him in the midfield, and he went to work in that second quarter. They just destroyed Fremantle in the middle, and Fremantle have a good like midfield. Five tried to push him, and he just went and absolutely belted him. He just fits West Coast mold so good, and I think him and Yo feed off each other really well. Even though Yo's obviously older, like he just loves the contested ball, and I think that's what Reid's going to be really, really good at coming in the future. I hope West Coast can sign him because it's just good to keep like talent around the league. And I don't think West Coast have really been relevant for Supercoach for a while, and Reid makes them relevant. So it'd be really good, like for Supercoach, that is. And Yo is now as well, but like I just think it would be good. And he just dominated. If you watch that game against Fremantle, it's just ridiculous. And he took that big hanger, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, it's his show tonight. So that's good. And it was good to have him on field as well, because I did think about it, but then I was like, I think the Fremantle game he's going to show up, and he did. So there you go. And he's got another contested game, I reckon, this week. Who are they playing? Gold Coast, yeah. So another contested game. Gold Coast love contested ball, and I think he's going to probably try and throw his weight around with Brown and stuff, so it'll be another good game to watch. It's enjoyable watching West Coast with Harley Reid there. Darcy, as I said, I thought he was all right, but obviously he was struggling from a Supercoach perspective. Cadman, so he's on the trading block. Lazaro got 33 in like a quarter, which is the painful thing, because as soon as he came on, he was just like, and I get he's probably fresh legs and he could get to the ball a bit more, but he just gets himself into good positions. He seems to, put in a bit of effort, and I wish like he'd get a bit more of a run, bit more of a midfield run, but don't think it's going to happen. There's obviously players in Wardlaw and stuff in front of the pecking order, so he might be the sub for now. and he might be just a slow burn until maybe there's some injuries or something like that. Now, going on to our moves this week. So that was a long review, but we haven't really done a long review. So there you go. I think it's an important week. We're coming into the first games out of the buys until the main buys. We've got 6 rounds of S22. And I'd kind of been changing the structure of the team to kind of fit this and, you know, try and keep the good rookies on the field. And I think that's what we're going to be able to do. So I plan to only use 2 trades and they're going to be, at the moment, this is what it looks like. This is option 1. This is what I think is going to probably be it. I could probably do another player. Considering Mass got subbed, I'm pretty worried about him as a long-term player, but I'm not going to do Mass. I'm going to bring you Mass into the midfield because I want to keep this loop here, Brown and whoever I'm going to loop. And then we can pick a midfielder and we need to get rid of Cadman as well. So Cadman, you could keep him. The problem is his projection is basing on like a 70 something this week. Where is it? 78 will go up 20k, which is good. But I'm probably only missing 32, 40k maybe. And I'm not sure how, like 78 against Brisbane seems like a pretty high projection. And, you know, if he goes lower than that, then it's like probably 10k, and this break even probably goes up to break it like 50, which is about where he'd probably score most weeks. So I'm kind of happy to move him on because I think that Mass, if we look at Mass, I think Mass has, you know, a better potential for scoring. His break even is still 45, so it's like next week I could probably move him on if I have to. Whereas I think Cadman's going to be less like I'm not going to play him on field, so I might as well just move him on. And that will bring in chasing points with young Dawson. I flagged 2 weeks ago in one of the first videos back that I really wanted Dawson. Like, I was like, you know, this Essendon game, that's where I want Dawson, and he went 168. Few things to consider. Matt Crouch wasn't playing, and he's just a one-off. You know, I'd probably consider the one-off a bit more if it wasn't for the fact that his disposal numbers have been quite good. It was just more the the usage. So like if you look at it, 26, 26, 27, 23 was a bit low, and then he had this 12, which wasn't great, but then he goes 31. So it's like 7 marks, 9 tackle. Like the tackle numbers have always been up, you know, 12 tackles against Geelong, free kicks 4. He finally turned that around in his favour, and, you know, kicked a couple goals, like all big things, all the Dawson we know. And for me, it's going to be jumping on players like Dawson before everyone else decides it's time to jump on Dawson. That's going to get me back into it. The other thing is he's cheap. You know, he's 114k cheaper than what he was at the start of the year. I was hoping to get him for like 500, but that didn't happen with the big 168. And the thing is as well, I think less people would be jumping on him now. He's only going up by 3%, so he's still only going to be in 11% of teams. Makes him pretty potty. They've got North this week, so that's a good matchup. You know, you think Port's a hard matchup, but he actually averages quite well against them. And then he's got, you know, Brisbane's probably that last hard game. From there, you know, Collingwood, he's got a high of 150 against them, I guess, low of 32, but that would be when he played for Sydney. And he also just scores like very well against teams like this that are a bit more free flowing, don't like try to man up as much. In like the midfield, and then West Coast, Hawthorn and Richmond just seems like a very tasty run. I think if he scores well through these two, people would definitely be aiming for him here. And that's where I kind of want to try and get some score. Like the only other option here is like using a boost and trying to get merit. Because I think if you do have the money, merit is really worth it, but I don't without using another boost. So if we go merit, what's going on here? I don't know why that reset, but anyway. The merit went 109. It was actually interesting because he had an 80 at the half, and then the Crows put, I think, like McHenry on him to like really follow him closely. and it really slowed him down. Like if Merritt didn't kick a late goal in an important time, this probably would have been like a 90. Yes, he's got, the Anzac Day game, and then he's got West Coast, GWS North, Richmond. Like, this is a really good run, and maybe I'll try to aim for him. I'll try and pull the money together, maybe with a boost to get him for the West Coast game. Because like Parrish does love the Anzac Day game as well. I think Parrish has had like 40 disposals twice in it. And then West Coast, West Coast aren't easy beats anymore, and like a guy like Yo would really go toe to toe with Zach. So I don't know if this necessarily is the easy game that everyone thinks it is anymore. GWS isn't easy either. I think like realistically, round 10 is like a good time to get him. You get 2 good games, but then like Gold Coast aren't easy either. So yeah, I still think it's interesting, and it is a high price to pay. I can see why people want to go him. It's not really showing here at the moment. But yeah, definitely one to consider if you have the money. But as I've been saying, like, the averages pull back, and he had the 109 this week, so it could pull back soon. But if we go Dawson, that's nice. And then the one I'm thinking about going here is so there's not really a huge amount of options for the guys rookies. So Garcia seems to be a pretty obvious one. The only thing that I'm unaware of is his job security. But he's probably my backup player that I'll get here. Looking at that, because if I go total around 6 points, surely Garcia is not the only one. If I go defenders, so we got Leak. I'd rather go next week if I was going to go him, because you don't really know when he could get injured or something, and then you start with a rookie who hasn't made any money. And then in the forward line, you got James Tunstall and you got Bigger, which a lot of people went early on him. And now he's gone on 46. It's like, is it as good a play as you wanted? Like Tunstall, if he keeps his role at Brisbane, could be good, but I think they had a few players out. I do really like Garcia, and I think he's probably my second choice. But the one I'm going to go is one that had a bye this week, and that's McAuliffe. He's getting mid-time. He's getting CBAs. Richmond have a pretty long injury list, which doesn't look like changing soon. If they get another injury, he's just getting like full-time, mid-time. This assumes he gets picked and he's named in. I'll be able to see that on Wednesday, which gives me a chance to change it to Garcia in case. But I like the idea of going McAuliffe here. And then changing the team around so we can get Closey on field. We can loop Graham and Brown through the defense, and then we can look at what we can do here. So I don't really know who I want to play here. I'd probably just back in Darcy. He's in 49% of teams with about 86% playing on field, so I don't mind that. Wilson's 65%. He's only about 50% on field, so I don't think it's too bad. The good thing about this is I keep 2 boosts, so I don't need to use. I can use these later on. I want to use them before the buy, because there's no point. You'll have 3 trades all to the buy. I need to start planning for that now. So the first round we don't look too bad. We've only got to really cover 5 players. We got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 who should be playing at that point unless they get injured. So that leaves us with what, 23 players? Oh, not 23 players, sorry. 21 players out of 18. So that's not too bad. And we can make trades to get there. I'm not sure who. It's good to be back-ended. So even round 13 is not really a struggle, but I think that's a 2-game, 2-team one. So I could look at some Fremantle players, maybe Young or something like that if he's not injured. This round here seems to be like a bit of an issue, so that's probably where we'll be looking at players, and I think the last round will be as well. So the guys at round 12 will be the ones we look at. So, I mean, there's not much here to look at though. Like, there's at North, GWS, and North GWS and Sydney. Not the most players there that are really relevant. Who's the other team that's missing? It's not Carlton Port, Collingwood Dogs. Who's got round 12 by AFL? Who is it this year? This is 22, God's sake. Why would the 2022 come up the top there? Unbelievable. Brisbane. Yeah, so I guess like Zorko. I think he's becoming pretty relevant. He had another good score off the back line. Even Neil, if you really want. I don't know, they're just they're pretty irrelevant Supercoach teams, aren't they? It's not like last year where it was like St Kilda. So want to keep an eye on, I guess Dunkley actually could be one if you wanted a bit of a pod if he starts to come good. I forgot I could just do this. Yeah, if we look here, it's like Heaney, Sheasel, Neil's still averaging 114. If you're keeping Grundy, but I feel like people are going to move Don Grundy. He really punished us this week. I didn't realize Sherry got up 144 in the end. Jesus Christ. But yeah, the 158 from Grundy was really punishing. Like, that's 60 points. I guess we got the extra points last week, but 68 points would have been nice this week. I can't believe that's the punish. And he's got Hawthorn this week, which is great. I thought it was Gold Coast, sorry, but it is Sydney v Hawthorn, sorry. So, do you already play with? Maybe Hawthorn play them after, but yeah, I mean Blakey could be an interesting defender. He's been doing quite well. Goulden, yeah, he's hot and cold though at the moment. Whitfield, yeah. So there's a little bit to keep an eye on here. LDU if he comes back because he's on 516. He looked a bit better on the weekend. Looked like he was hunting the ball a bit better. So he could be one as well. We're looking at round 12, but for now. Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's much real like that you want to end your team with, except for the players we've already got. I guess looking around the grounds at some players that kind of went well. So Cripps, he was really good. He had like 38, 40 disposals, didn't he? Something like that. He looks really good. Houston's got St Kilda, who let up a lot of points to defenders. They'd be like 16th, surely. 18th. St Kilda 18th ranked versus defense. So Houston's probably going to farm a whole heap of points again. And then he loves playing it. He hasn't done too bad against the Crows recently. And then Geelong, so where he's had 146 and 139. So that one's interesting. Walsh had another strong game. If I had a bit more money, I'd probably try and get Walsh, but I don't. So I'm going Dawson. The 40K... Don't know why, but the 40K just doesn't really work with my team. I don't really know why. I would have thought if I go mass, it must work. If I go that, trade that. Oh no, keep that, trade that, complete. Admin. And then, so this was the other trade I was looking at. So if I go that and then I can get Walsh. I don't know why this didn't work before. But I just don't know if this is worth it more than I'd have two Carlton midfielders and then like Carlton have Geelong, Collingwood, Melbourne, and Sydney, which is like a rough 4. Yeah, I'd probably just rather take the risk, I think, because everyone's jumping on Walsh as well. So if he has a down game, it wouldn't be too bad for me. So I'm going to go with that. So let's get this back there. Wilson complete, and then we can... that doesn't work. Do I have to... I really hate how this works sometimes. All right. And then Ambrosio back in. So yeah, it doesn't leave me much cash, but I think that overall it leaves me probably a little bit more. And then optimizing this. So what's it reckon I should do? It reckons Ambrosio should come up here. I mean, it's still a possibility. If Brown doesn't go well, I could do that, but I'll probably just loop with Graham. I want to get Sanders is no good there. So, you know, having McKercher and Sanders on the bench as cover isn't the worst, especially with injury. Closey, I think everyone's going to have on field. And then Brown and Graham, I can just take the best out of those two. Even I could even go McKercher over Graham. So, you know, there's a lot of options there as well. Because those who don't trade out McKercher, he's doing 34%, 3% trading out. So if there's still 31% of teams that will have him, 57% starting. But, you know, there's a lot of options to how I can move this around because the DPP changes were like Graham, not Graham, so Closey got defense, Mass got mid. Who else got mid defense? McKercher got defense. Sanders got the forward, which was great. Darcy missed the ruck, which wasn't good. I think Reid was already mid forward. Power got the mid forward. Roberts got defender mid, so that's good. So you got a bit of, you know, there's so much flexibility in this team now with like structure. But I really like the fact I can just loop these two and see what happens. And get the best option on field. I can't loop this though, which is annoying. I need to play it not playing. That's the only thing that Clark could have been good for keeping is being a loop, but probably want to just keep making money. But anyway, a bit of rambling tonight, but this is the team as it is. Yeah, as I said, a few players obviously didn't do quite well. Going back to my ADHD here. So Rao played another good game. Butters as well. The Horn Francis trade in looks like it was all right last week, but if he's injured, not good. McRae could be an interesting mid forward for us to target. We need to see another game here. His break even 64, so he might go up 20k, but you wouldn't mind paying 500k for McRae. Something I might look at, to be honest, try and get these guys in early and then use trades later to upgrade. I've still got to obviously get in probably in English soon. It's either English or Rowan. With Rowan having a bad game as well, like there's a lot, you know, there's time to wait. I can just sit on Meek a little bit and upgrade other areas because with that 50, he's going to be 168. I mean, Port, he loves playing Port, Jesus Christ. So if you have Marshall, look at a VC there. And then he's got North and Hawthorn, which is just going to be really good for him. Clark was really good. If it wasn't for Ryan, if he was getting kick-outs, I think he'd be in every team. Moore had a good game. Whether he keeps this up will be interesting. I guess it's only against North, but apparently he did flag that he needed to lift. So maybe we'll see this a bit more of this. But yeah, not much more really interesting. Yo had a good game. Blakey, these cheaper guys in your defense you could look at. Stewart got concussed, so he's probably missing this week. Or he is missing this week with the concussion. Mac Andrew had another 100, averaging 90 as a 300 midfield defender. Sorry, so if you got him in, you'd probably be pretty happy. Darcy had a good game back, really affected Edwards, but not Edwards Jackson, but he looked really good. Bradley Hill had another 100, so I kind of flagged this last week that he could be an interesting forward option because he just keeps getting so much of the, you know, delivery through their midfield. Like if you got him at 369, I mean, obviously 75 is not good, but 132, 101, you wouldn't be turning your nose up at that. And as I said, if you're considering guys like Naish, Wangani, Malira, you have on Nasai, sorry, not Naish, Nasai, Wangani, Malira, you got to consider guys like Hill because they're averaging the same and in a line that would probably take a lower average. Sicily, so bit of an average game. If he comes good, I don't know. I think they're going to be moving around too much. Holmes, I would have thought this would be better considering Stewart was out. And then going down from here, we've got like Ryan, who had a bit of a flat game. So he'll probably start losing money after next week as well with that 89. And that was like on the back of him getting like every kick out that was imaginable. So not great for him. Jackson's break even's getting up there. He's only, what's his average at now? 90? Oh, he's got a 107 still, but like this 90 was pretty lucky. He kicked a late goal as well. Five. This probably should be more. I think he was a bit unlucky. You'd be pretty happy having 5. He doesn't look injured, which is good. Tuke had a bit of a down game. His break even's 106. There's a bit to think about, I guess. But anyway, that's it for tonight. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope your team went well, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.